This is Personal Injury Court.
Good day, everyone. This is the matter of Newman versus Levy. Miss Newman, it's my understanding that you're suing Mr. Levy for injuries to your ear that you sustained while renting an apartment from Mr. Levy. You're asking this court to award you $15,000 for your medical expenses and $175,000 for pain and suffering for a total award of $190,000. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Mr. Levy, you believe this is not your fault because you did everything you were supposed to do and you should not be held responsible for her injuries. Is that true?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, let's get into the legal sauce. Now, how did you come to rent this apartment?
So I've been living there 2 years, and
Okay.
the first year, I'll be honest, it was really wonderful. It's a great neighborhood. I love my neighbors, and it's walking distance to the school. I'm a kindergarten teacher, and I can ride my bike there, saves me gas money. And as somebody on a really tight budget, that's incredibly important. I mean, rent is affordable, so...
Up until this day, you're pretty happy with your apartment?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Levy, was she a pretty good tenant?
She was, but she wasn't very communicative. I've owned this apartment now for about 10 years. In fact, I helped build it. I have another one that's about 30 years old. And I'll tell you, I provide my tenants with a good living experience. I provide them security through contracts, I provide them a beautiful landscape, and I provide them pest control.
Is this your spot here?
That's correct.
It looks like a nice place.
Indeed it is, and we get excellent ratings on all of the internet sites. I'm very proud to be the landlord there.
So, Ms. Newman, you're having a good time being at this apartment up until this day. What happened?
So I started noticing cockroaches here and there. And at first it was just one or two, and then they multiplied. I mean, they were everywhere. Like, it was disgusting. And I'm sorry if I'm super loud, but my hearing is a little gone.
This is a video you submitted to the court. You shot this on your phone?
I did, yes, Your Honor.
And this is in your apartment?
That's in my apartment, and that's just in the frame of, that's just in like this little tiny area of my apartment too.
Mr. Levy, I thought for a moment that Miss Newman was mistaken. Maybe these are those palmetto bugs that people try to tell me aren't roaches. Those are roaches.
Indeed they are. We've never had any complaints from any other tenants about roaches in our property.
Well, how did you get hurt?
The morning that it happened, I had been swimming. I like to swim in the mornings. And I went to school, worked all day. I was exhausted. And I went home to get my necessities papers, and I was so tired I fell asleep on my couch.
Okay.
And when I woke up, I felt something in my ear. And I'll be honest, at first I thought it was just water trapped on my ear canal. It's not uncommon to have water trapped in your ear canal for 24 to 48 hours after you go swimming.
Yes, ma'am.
I've been swimming for a long time, so I knew that. And then 48 hours later, I realized this was not just water. There was a cockroach in my ear canal, and I could feel every leg, I could feel every antenna, I could feel everything. It was literally inside my head, making its home in my ear canal, burrowing its way inside my head.
How did you know that there was a cockroach in your ear?
Because I could feel its little legs. You can feel it. You can feel it stuck in your, and forgive me for, you can feel it stuck in your earwax. It's really gross. And I had to go.
It took 2 days.
I had to go. I'm not done. I'm not finished.
For her to
I had
get
to
there.
go to the ER, and they put a video in my ear.
You submitted that video to the court?
Yes, sir, I did. Yes, Your Honor.
Let's take a look at it. They're looking in your ear. All right. Okay. Let me get this clear. So you had a cockroach in your ear?
In my ear, and it would have gone further if I hadn't taken action when I knew that it was a bug in my ear.
So that's what was crawling around. You felt the legs and things?
I couldn't. You could see the little hairs on the legs too, and I could feel them sticking to the wax in my ear. It was
cockroaches
disgusting.
do something to me. Okay.
It's like a horror movie.
So they pulled it out of your ear?
They did, Your Honor, and it was very delicate surgery. And they told me that now I have a perforated eardrum, which is a hole in my ear because this man didn't do anything about it.
Now, Mr. Levy, did you exterminate this place on a regular basis?
Yes, we did, Your Honor. In fact, as required in the lease, we exterminated every 6 months by having an outside contractor come in and do it professionally. And I have copies of the reports for you.
All right, Sheriff Matt, will you retrieve those reports from Mr. Levy?
And also the invoices.
Well, I'm looking at your invoice number 36571. It's billed to you and it's dated February 22nd.
That's
It says treatment, Target Pest, full service, and then it says Mark Levy. Is that your signature there?
Yes, it is.
So you had a professional exterminator in August.
Absolutely.
Can I just say something?
Yes.
It had actually been 8 months since an exterminator had been to the building, and in my contract, every 6 months one is supposed to come out. So he had ample time to find another one.
Well,
honestly, I think he was being
So he was late.
being a cheapskate. Yes, sir. He was late.
Indeed,
He was
Your
very
Honor,
late.
we were informed by our contractor that he was going to cancel the contract. It took me a while to find somebody else, but as soon as I got notice that there was a roach infestation,
You were on it.
I was on it, and I took care of it myself.
The fact is, it had been 8 months, and my contract is supposed to be every 6 months an exterminator comes out. And I emailed him, I called him, I texted him, I sent him the picture that you saw of all those roaches, and I got no response.
You emailed
Until-
and texted him.
I did, and I got nothing until I sent him a formal complaint letter. But honestly, I don't think I should have even had to do that if it had been 8 months. He should have had ample time to find someone else to prevent this from even happening. I have the messages with me if you'd like to see them, Your Honor.
You brought them with you. Sheriff
Your
Matt, if
Honor.
you get the messages. Thank you, sir. You're the best. All right. There's a text message here, June 22nd.
She alleges she sent them.
It says, Mr. Levy, I have nasty bugs in my apartment. When's the exterminator coming? Well,
There's no evidence that anything was sent or even that I received it.
Mr. Levy, then there's a second one, June 24th, that's in caps, which means they're screaming at you. Mr. Levy, I haven't heard from you. It's nasty. And then finally, there's a picture of the roaches attached. She's screaming for your attention.
Your Honor, note that there's still no address on the
And note
text
that there's still
message.
no
Did you get these
response
text
either.
messages?
I never got the text
Still no
messages.
response.
The first notice I got was the letter that she sent me. Once I got that letter, that triggered my entrance into her apartment. I went to the hardware store. I bought some roach killer. I went up to that apartment myself in order to see what was going on. And I have to tell you, it was appalling in that apartment. No matter how
Don't
many
wanna hear
chemicals
this.
you put around, it's not going to account for the dirty clothes that are piled up and for the dirty dishes that are around.
Now, you
Look
took
at
some
that.
pictures.
It looks, exactly. It
I'm a
looks to me
teacher.
like
I
an
have to be
engraved
organized and
invitation
orderly.
to a
That's-
roach.
Miss
That's not
Newman,
my
is this your apartment?
Yes, Your Honor, it is my apartment,
course
but
it's
I will tell you that when this first started happening, I wanted to see if I could find where the roaches were coming from myself. So I did take apart a few things, but when I realized they were everywhere, I honestly couldn't even move around without touching them. So I had to take what few things I could and get out.
Was it nasty, Mr. Levy?
It was nasty. And she has an agreement with us that she's supposed to keep the place clean to avoid roaches.
Had you gotten these text messages, would you have come early?
Absolutely.
So you blame her.
I do. No other adjoining apartments reported this, only her apartment.
So you didn't have any complaints from any other residents
Absolutely
about
not.
roaches?
Absolutely not.
Now, Miss Newman, if the roaches are focused on your place, isn't there a reason for that?
Honestly, Your Honor, I don't believe so. I'm not the kind of person, I don't leave open containers with which to attract roaches with.
And understand this, a lease is two ways. You have responsibilities, but you have responsibilities also. You got to keep your place clean. Did you understand that?
Can you say that again?
I can say it louder. Turn your head this way.
Oh,
What?
please.
You must keep your place clean because the lease requires it. It didn't seem like you did.
Your Honor, this is a one-time thing for me. I maintain my life very well. I'm a teacher. I have to. I'm organized. I'm orderly.
Oh,
You can go to the
please.
school
Roaches love
yourself.
teachers, too.
You can go
I
to
mean,
the
come on.
I'm a
This
very
is
quick
not
person.
how an adult
It's none of your
lives.
business how I maintain
It
my
is-
Order in this court. Miss Newman, I know this is heavy for you. You're asking this court to give you $15,000 for your past medicals.
Yes, Your Honor.
You mentioned that the ER doc took this roach out of your ear. This court has consulted Dr. Neelam Vaughn. She's an ER doc who's done this many times. She's going to tell us about how you do this and what's the impact. So, Sheriff Matt, will you get Dr. Vaughn?
Yes, Your Honor.
Hello, Dr. Vaughn.
Hello.
This is kind of everybody's nightmare. How does this happen? How do you get a cockroach in your ear?
It's not really that uncommon. Bugs, we get complaints of this 3 to 4 times a month, sometimes
3 to
more.
4 times a month?
Sometimes more. There's different bugs that can end up in there, spiders that make webs, but in this case, of course, we're talking about a cockroach, and cockroaches love a warm, moist environment, and so the bug travels in, latches its legs in, and kind of cozies in your eardrum.
And do they die there? Do they lay eggs? What do they do?
All of the above, and most of the time they'll stay alive, and that's, obviously really creepy.
So the ER doc took this picture. How do you get that thing out of there?
Well, you usually put some viscous lidocaine or mineral oil or something with the hopes that it dies, and kind of float it, and then you go in with alligator forceps, and you carefully try to grab it. They did that, and they were able to hopefully take it out. Well, he's not wanting to go out. He likes his home, and they're able to take it out, and it looks pretty successful here.
You have found whole roaches in people's ears?
I have. It's really not that uncommon.
Miss Newman says she's suffering some hearing loss. What kind of damage does a bug like this do to someone's ear?
Well, it depends. It can have some permanent hearing loss, or sometimes you can get your hearing back.
Well, what part of the ear is damaged?
Well, you have the outer ear, your ear canal, where it's the middle ear, and then you have your eardrum, that's that round area right there, and then the bones of your ear, and then the cochlea, which is kind of your hearing organ.
Okay.
So sound comes in from the outside, through the middle ear to the eardrum, and if it's perforated, aka if there's a hole in it, you can't really get sound through effectively.
So would the bug put a hole in your eardrum?
It can. It can make a little hole, or it can kind of completely obliterate it.
Now, does that eardrum heal?
It's variable. Sometimes we hope that it heals, but it's not uncommon for it to not heal either.
If it doesn't heal, what happens to your hearing ability?
It's diminished.
Permanently?
It can be. It's possible.
Thank you, doctor.
Thank you.
You are released. Thank you. So, Ms. Newman,
Yes, Your Honor.
you've submitted $15,000 in medical bills to this court. Having to pay that, what's that done to you?
I feel so stressed out all the time. I go to school, and I know I'm gonna have to take on extra classes now. I'm gonna have to substitute a lot more. I'm gonna have to tutor on the weekends. But the fact is, the kids think I'm a freak. I teach kindergarten.
You have to wear that to class?
I do. I have to wear this all the time. I can't hear kids in the back of the classroom. I'm a kindergarten teacher. It was already hard to deal with them when I never had this, and now it's affected my entire ability.
I mean, don't you get the idea that roaches
interact with my students.
Mr. Levy, direct your comments to me. I can't hear if you're talking to him. So, Ms. Newman, how are you able to afford this on a teacher's salary?
But the fact is, I can't. I'm working twice as many hours as I used to. I don't have my weekends. I don't have time off. I can't see my family because of how much I'm working. And on top of that, we're talking about I'm more susceptible to ear infections. I may never be able to swim again. I may have tinnitus for the rest of my life, which is like really intense ear ringing. I don't even know if a hearing aid is going to be an option for me, and if so, how much is that going to cost? I don't have my peripheral vision right now, so I'm having to sort of do this right here. And the kids think I'm crazy. I feel like some sort of monster around them, and I hate that. I love kids. That's all I ever wanted to do.
Folks, I think I've heard enough. I'm ready to render my decision. In every personal injury case, the plaintiff, you, Ms. Newman, you have to prove 3 things. You've got to prove that Mr. Levy was wrong, that he did something wrong, and that his wrong act caused your injuries. You've shown this court today that this was almost a perfect place until the roaches came, that he ignored your complaints, and then he tried to do a quick fix. You ended up having a roach go in your ear and affect your hearing in a permanent way. Mr. Levy, you believe that the roaches came because she invited them from being so nasty in her apartment, and that this is her fault. Plus, you went on your own to try to address the problem. For an owner to be responsible in a premises liability case, you have to have notice of a problem, you sent the text messages, and then you must address it reasonably. The law does not require an owner to ensure your safety. The law requires an owner to act reasonably. Here, the problem for me is that you had a professional exterminator before this, and this time you tried to do it yourself. So, Ms. Newman, I believe that you have proven that Mr. Levy is wrong and that his wrong caused your hearing loss and injury. In that regard, I find in your favor and will award you $15,000 for your past medicals and $175,000 for your pain and suffering, for a total award of $190,000. I find in your favor. That's my final award, and this matter is adjourned. Our attorneys across America just viewed this case for the first time. Let's hear what Hoyt Tessner has to say.
If you're renting, the terms of the lease dictate responsibilities of you and the landlord, including how to notify your landlord of any problems. Does the lease require written notice via certified mail to a certain address? Then a text is not good enough, and you definitely don't want to end up with roaches in your ear because of improper notice.